I'd like to call this February meeting to order and thank you all for taking time to come. We appreciate your interest in the district and hope you continue to do so. Let's begin with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Michelle, will you do the roll call, please?
Mrs. Brown? Here. Mr. Dobies?
Yep.
Ms. Acton?
Here.
Ms. Hunt?
Present.
And Mrs. Fitzgerald?
Here. Now we need to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the agenda with the following amendment to move item 23-24-74, the consideration of the resolution certifying the replacement of operating millage, to the final item under action items.
Okay. Any discussion about that? No problem. Okay.
Do you have a second?
Do we have a second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Super. Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. Now we are going to the superintendent's report. Mr. Beal.
Absolutely. And we've got a lot of great things happening at Parkside, including a super huge parent day the other day. So, Krista, you want to come forward and you and your team kind of share, tell us about Parkside. We'd love to hear what's going on at Parkside and 4th Street Learning Center.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Krista Jarvie, and I am the principal for instruction at Parkside.
I'm Destiny Davis, and I'm the assistant principal.
And I am Bobby Berkey. I'm the associate principal.
Next slide, please. Oh, we have a clicker. Somebody else is in charge, though. So just a couple of things we're going to talk about. We each have different slides we're going to talk about, and some are mostly words and some are mostly pictures. But we're also going to ask that the slideshow be shared with you all so you can click some of the links that we put in and see some of our other resources. So my first thing that we're going to talk about is something that we're really excited about. Part of our teacher evaluation is that teachers are looking at log entry data, so discipline data, as well as grades. And it's disaggregated by race and ethnicity, gender, and special education status. So normally, when we did not have Kelly Crum, our department chairs would lead that discussion in their departments. But this year, for all of that trimester 1 data, Kelly came to Parkside and led those discussions for us. So I met with her. We created a DEI plan for the year. So what are we going to do with the data that teachers are looking at? So they're talking about things that they notice, things that they're wondering, what does their data say to them, and what can they do to move the data in one direction or the other if it needs to go in a different direction. So some of the notes that Kelly had on instructional practices that are occurring at Parkside are that teachers are working hard to create the classroom that looks like the students that we serve every day, and they're also supplementing curriculum. So there's accurate representation of our students, real-world examples, and contributions to all cultures. So everybody's represented in what they're learning, and that they're getting support from their colleagues in administration. And that's something that is happening and will be ongoing, and that's needed by staff. My clicker is not working. You also have a paper copy of all of this. The next slide is mostly, well, Krista touched it. We have that at Parkside. All right, so we asked staff 2 questions for their reflection in addition to their data reflection that we'll use to drive professional development. And it was, how do you feel your department DEI meeting with Kelly Crum went, and how could we improve on this for on the process or conversation for trimester 2, because our plan is for her to come back at the end of trimester 2 in March and start modeling and giving our department heads the ability to lead this on their own, so some training for them. So those are just some of their opinions that were given to us in this reflection. It was completely anonymous. We didn't record their emails or anything like that. So overwhelmingly, the people that responded thought it was a really great meeting, and they enjoy being able to have very open conversations. So Thank you, Kelly. We also, as part of our initiative with Dr. Johnson, we started our student voice group at Parkside. All the schools were tasked with doing that, but we really enjoyed getting to know some of our students, and we actually gave them another survey for our first meeting. We're not going to do surveys every meeting, but we asked them 4 questions. What are some things they would like to see changed at Parkside to improve the school environment? What are some things Parkside could do to improve student-to-student relationships? What are some things you'd like to see changed at Parkside to improve student learning? And what could we do to make students want to come to school more? So each one of those pictures is just a little snippet from each question. Some of the stuff we found that it was things we already do, but maybe we don't advertise it enough. So like the library being open during lunch as a quiet space, advertising that a bit more so more students are aware of that. Our next meeting is going to be in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to do community building within the student voice group. Each grade has 16 students, 8 males, 8 females, and then it is all a diverse group of students. Every race and ethnicity is represented among those 16. Who's next? Nope.
And so, as you all know, the district's undertaken a development of the MTSS system, and under that umbrella of MTSS is PBIS. And so we've kind of reviewed what we're doing, and we want to align more with that positive behavior, intervention, and support. So the first step was we need some consistency throughout the building. And so we've got these expectations that are tailored to the specific area in the building. They are now posted everywhere. Again, I want to make sure we're clear that we are in the early stages. We're still refining and developing this as we try to align with what PBIS is and represents. At the beginning of the year, we teach those expectations, and then we come back and teach them again after the breaks. So we want to be consistent throughout the entire year. We don't want them to go to the wayside. And we start the year with the relationship initiative. And I would encourage you to click that link when this is shared with you. And basically what this does is it creates classroom community. If you're going to be with a set of students or peers for an entire year, it's important that you feel comfortable in that space. So we feel like this relationship initiative does a great job at that. And we, again, use those activities after breaks as we're reviewing expectations. To get some of those positive behavior rewards, we asked the best people we could, the students. And so you'd be surprised at how many are just like, we want some extra free time. We've come up with some things like in-school dances, which was a big hit for students that are meeting those expectations. And then on the other flip side, instead of IST just being a referral, we've added a PBIS-based reflection. And so that reflection is then the student sits down with Mr. Seals. He is our IST teacher, and he goes over the reflection with them, asks, how did it make you feel? Do you feel like you could have done better? How could we do better in the future? And then we give that back to the teacher. So there's that feedback. Where was that student's mindset at that time, and maybe helps prevent that interaction the next time. We are working on professional development with staff. We've also got a PBIS committee that we're tasking with overseeing these and coming to the table, giving ideas. And then again, one of the things that we've implemented this year for our morning announcements, we asked teachers to fill out cards of positive things they're seeing throughout the building. And over the announcements, we give recognition to those positive actions and give a shout out to those students.
Just to add to that, we've done the relationship initiative. This will be our 3rd year in doing it. And we got feedback from staff over the first couple of years that they really like this initiative, but they struggle because it doesn't allow for teacher time. So we made our own version of that, taking those relationship initiative activities, giving teachers input on which activity they choose, and then also putting in 20 minutes of expectations. So if you're able to click that link, be really excited about the document because it was a lot of work. And we got great feedback from staff about the effectiveness and how they got input in what they were doing, in addition to time to teach what they needed to teach to get their classroom running.
Here's some pictures of me looking a little foolish, but I'm having fun, so that's the point. Of some of the things that we did to reward students for grades, attendance, and behavior. So one of the things was an in-school dance, like we had talked about. And then the students did say, we just want to hang with our friends, Mrs. Jarvie. I said, we can do that. So we opened up the library and the cafeteria. We provided free slushies for the kids and chips, and they were able just to hang. So we were doing TikToks, and we were singing to the music because I had the radio playing, the music, and we had a very good time. So there's just some pictures of us being goofballs with our kids. All right, so as Mr. Beal had mentioned at the beginning, we did have just a huge parent engagement day that happened on February 12th, but this is just kind of an overview of what we've done so far this year. So Parkside this year has had 3 family engagements days with attendance of over 300. Our last one was February 12th, celebrating NAPID. NAPID is National African American Parent Involvement Day. So we combined that with one of our parent series, and we had over 500 in attendance. We know that because we had over 500 cookies and they were all gone. And we only allowed 1 per person, and I didn't eat any. During these parent days, we try to offer a lot of different things for parents to encourage them to come. So one of the things that we do is during Parent Day in the library, we offer for the community to come in and just show our parents and our families what they have to offer and the support that they offer for our students and the families that may be in need. So some of the people that we've had at our Family Day is Center for Family Health, of course, because they are located inside our building. Most teens don't. Drug Free Jackson, the City of Jackson Parks and Rec, Lifeways, Power School, and PAVE. And PAVE is our parent group at Parkside. Along with that, that's usually typically all day. They have their own table and parents can kind of go from table to table. But on top of that, in the afternoon after lunches, we always like to have a speaker. And this has become a big highlight of the day for our parents. So this past time on NAPID, it was very much about parent engagement, of course. We had Kelly Crum speak, as well as a former student, Haley Hampton. So you kind of heard from the adult side, but also from a student side. We've had Rebecca Calkins from Most Teens Don't, John Willis, Fred Parker from SCMV, Ashley Smith from Center for Family Health. She's a therapist, as well as our counselors, John, Eric, and Ryan. So they've also had a table. We always want to also have a fun activity. So this is kind of how I hook the kids. I say, you get to get out of class. They're like, oh, wait, let me sign up. Let me get my parent. So the parent comes in, they check into the main office, they go to the library, they tell us who their student is, we call them down out of class, and we always have a time for parents, family members, whoever it may be, to just share some one-on-one time with their child doing something. So we've done caramel apples, we've done gingerbread house making. This past time we decorated heart-shaped cookies with frosting and sprinkles. We've done ornaments. So we just try to do some sort of activity so the families can do something at a table. So I already kind of just spoke about the activities. We also have student presentations throughout the day. I'm not sure if you ever watch our Parkside Facebook page, but all of the presentations were posted. We had some really awesome presentations. We also this time did a dream wall in honor of Black History Month. And so parents and students sat down with a sticky note and wrote down what their dream was, either for their child or for themselves. And then their child did the same thing as maybe as a family or for themselves. And we had this huge wall of all these sticky notes of everyone's dream. And it was just a really neat activity. But student presentations, we had students from German class, Spanish classes, orchestra, choir, and band come. And then there's always topics to our family days. So in October, we were experiencing some of the vaping issues in the school. So we said, well, what can we do to coincide with that? Like, we need parents to know and to help us out. So October was talking to your student about drugs and vaping. In December, it was mental health. And then this past February, like I said, it was parent engagement. And please check out our Facebook page. So these are just some pictures that we took. I think we have over 100 pictures on our Facebook page, but we just encourage you to go there and look and learn a little bit more about what we do.
And I wanted to talk real quick about one of our interventions that we're really proud of, and it's our after-school cafe program. So this is an extended day program on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Students who need a little extra support in a smaller setting can stay from 2:30 to 5. We have 8 teachers, and I cannot give a shout out loud enough to those 8 teachers who stay every Tuesday and Thursday. We have 2 English, 2 math, 2 science, and 2 special education students so that we can serve those students in the after-school program as well. Students work on missing work or get a little extra help. There is no new assignments. And if a student shows up with no assignments, we use a program called IXL. And what the English and math teachers do is they enter that NWEA score into IXL, and it tailors a plan that's individualized to that student and their strengths. So IXL is a supplement for students that may not have work. So they come and they're still busy kind of sharpening those skills. Students see a teacher from each subject every day, and transportation and a hot meal are provided every Tuesday and Thursday. So when we started this program a few years back, students were eating at about 4:45 right before they dismissed, and they were getting a cold sack lunch. And they enjoyed it, but the feedback came in that it was getting a little old. They wanted something different. So we listened to that, changed it up. They now eat at 2:30, 2:40. Because food service is still there, and they'll provide a hot meal that's a little more similar to what they get through the school day. We currently have 83 students enrolled, and we're excited to say that we are in the process of adding 4 more teachers so that we can expand that impact and get more students involved.
Do you guys have any questions?
I do have just a couple. You talked about the 16 students. How are those students selected?
So for our student voice group,
Yes.
so we put out a spreadsheet to all of the teachers and just said, who are the leaders? Who are kids following in any way?
Good or bad?
Yeah, good or bad, because we can also influence them in a positive way to be a leader in a positive way. And then we looked at all of those and kind of pared it down, because we probably got 25. So we didn't have to pare it down anymore. We just looked at the number of boys versus girls. We kind of split it up. And I did mine, but I looked at the boys separately from the girls, and I put in their race and ethnicity to make sure I had equal representation from all groups.
Okay. You kind of answered my second question. I was wondering if it was a cap. You said 16, but there was 25. So if we have 25 leaders, are 25 leaders able to participate?
We only invited those 16, but we had a couple of students that opted out, whose parents let us know. So we'll be pulling some other people in. And then for the next year, we would love to kind of increase it as we get more involvement and make more leaders. We can add some more, maybe like the quieter leaders in the back. Let's bring them to the forefront and give them some confidence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parkside, absolutely. Oh, did I miss
Well,
something?
yeah, one more question. Kelly Crum led those conversations. Who else is in the room when those conversations are taking place?
It was the department members. So, for example, world language would have 5 world language teachers, and then Kelly. They each department head figured out what time they were going to meet, and then they all just invited her with a calendar invite. And then we were not present because we wanted to make sure those conversations were what they needed to be. And then they did a reflection form that we will use. And then we're going to meet with Kelly separately to look at our school-wide data. And then she has some feedback for us on some things that she thinks we could do.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment, it's not a question. The student voice comments that the kids made, their concern about others just came through loud and clear, and things you can do to make things better, improve relationships, is always what can I do for you? And I thought that was really very telling.
It was really hard to pare down and just like pick some to put on a slideshow because they all had really great things.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And you guys continue to do a wonderful job. Parkside's got a great thing going.
Thank you.
All right. Every 6 months or so, we're going to hear about 98B as a requirement. So Julie and Jeremy, you want to share out some data and information?
Okay, as you can see, we did share that with you. So our K through 8 buildings use NWEA data, And what we're looking at is the percent of students that hit their growth target for mid-year. And so every student at the beginning of the school year takes math and ELA, and WEA, and it sets a growth target for the end of the year and also for the middle of the year. So the students that, or the percentages that you're seeing are the kids in each grade level, and then also in each of the different categories, the different demographics that have hit their target. The goals are set by the buildings themselves. A lot of times they're looking at, they want to make sure that it's something that they can definitely hit. And they always, we never have a building that doesn't hit the targets that they set for themselves. They far exceed them. But what you're looking at right now is just kind of our check-in as of the end of January, beginning of February with those tests. And I just want to also say that we had some issues with one of the reports for Parkside and for 4th Street. There are so many kids that take that. At the elementaries, we're able to go classroom by classroom and look at the students that actually hit their growth target, and the teachers are able to do that. But there's so many kids at Parkside, we run a special report for it. And so we have information for by grade level, but breaking that down into demographics is a little harder. So we're working to get that updated as soon as possible for you. Any questions? I will say, well, I guess part of that would be for secondary. You're seeing different information reported out for 9 through 12. So that's based on different measures than the NWEA.
What would be a passing score then for high school Ds? Like Ds? I mean, is that kind of what they're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
so that will help you work towards graduation. So looking at Jackson High's data, they look at the number of credits earned from trimester to trimester or year to year. So if there's 60 credits to graduate from high school, you would need 15 credits each year, and that's how they kind of use that information to determine if students are on track, and then also what they can do to help students get caught up, or what students will be retained because they don't have enough credits to move forward.
Thank you. I was wondering what retained meant, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If not, I'll keep things moving, and that will close the superintendent's report for the month of February.
We move on at this time, the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to accept?
Move it. Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Now we go to citizens requesting to address the board. Over here. First, we have Danita Bentley and then Natalie Schroeder.
Hello. As all the board members know, I didn't think I was going to be able to be here tonight, so I had sent a communication ahead of time. But there was a miscommunication, misunderstanding on what our family's schedule was for this evening, so it worked out for me to be able to be here. I decided to go ahead and come tonight, even though I had sent a communication to you all ahead of time, because I feel it's important for the community at large to better understand and better know the elected officials that they have elected to serve in these positions. And so I had written ahead of time this month about a board policy that I was recently made aware of that states that all communications between staff and board members has to go through the superintendent. And I was just made aware of this a couple weeks ago. And so I think it's important that the community knows that, because it's not something you would know unless you go and read board policies at length. But I think it's important for the community who have voted you all in to know that the staff members are not allowed to talk to you directly through specifically about school business, and that all that communication has to go through one office. And so I wrote about that specifically. and stated that I don't really like that policy. I was told that it came out of a time when certain board members were more involved at other schools than different ones, and there was some favoritism feeling going on, and the board president didn't know all the communications that were going on, so that this was a way to kind of streamline everything. I think I personally think a better way to do that would just to include everybody on all communications, not to have all communications go through one person. Even if that message gets passed on directly, I feel like it's leaving a lot of control to one position for timing, also for doing any kind of behind the scenes prep work in response to whatever the communication is. And so in my email, I'm going to quote here just, I don't know, to make sure I'm being consistent with what I say. I said, in my letter, I said, I asked the board to discuss this policy and consider rewriting it to better facilitate open communications throughout the district. In response to this was forwarded to all of you today. In response to this, I heard directly back from 3 board members. So that's not really following the policy. If the policy is that communications between staff and board members are to go through the superintendent, then I would understand that to be that if you're going to respond to me, you would need to do it through the superintendent. That's the way I understand the policy. I don't really mind that people responded directly to me because I don't like the policy to begin with. But I would like to point out that one of the emails I got back was from our board chair, who said that she was at a loss for words for my audacity as an employee to question the board, or to, wait, let me get this right. I cannot believe any employee of any business would have the audacity to tell its governing board to change policies. I did not tell you to change anything. I asked you to look at it, consider it, and talk about it. I did not tell you to do anything. So I want to be clear about that. I chose my words carefully. It's not my place to tell the whole board to do anything. I made a request. And the first request was that you look at it and discuss it and consider changing it. I bring that up specifically because as an elected official, I think the community at large needs to know who they've elected and how they are serving the community. In addition to that, yes, I'm an employee. I am also a parent in this district. And I am also a community member who voted for board members. So I am not just an employee. So I would encourage the community at large, as we have positions coming open, I wish I could turn and look at them, as we have board opens coming open, that you seriously consider who you're voting for, that you know that person, that you know how they stand on education, on current trends, on DEI, on all the things, and don't just vote for somebody because you know they've been in the community for a while or because you recognize the name. And that should be true for any position that we're voting for, but specifically for our school board because it's so important. One more thing before I run out of time. I've never claimed to have all the answers for the things I bring up. I've never said that. I've asked that you look at exit interviews, that you look at all those employee surveys that came out last year, that you talk to students, parents, employees. I've never said I have the answers. I'm asking you to do the work so you can come up with your own answers. Thank you.
Hello, board members. Hello, audience. My name is Natalie Schroeder. I'm a Jackson resident and I have kids in JPS. I'm also a volunteer for a national education campaign called Be Smart. And I've had a table the last 3 years at the Southside Summer Festivals on High Street, where I handed out information about secure storage of guns, and I gave away about 30 free gun locks from our local police department. I'm here today to ask the school board to consider passing a resolution that will allow information to be sent home to families about secure gun storage. Be Smart is neutral on the topic of gun ownership. It does not encourage nor discourage individuals from owning guns. It also does not advocate for changes to gun laws. Rather, it empowers each and every adult to take agency over the safety of children and teens. The Be Smart educational campaign was developed to reduce the deaths, injuries, and trauma that result when children gain access to unsecured firearms. Mrs. Lusby just told me that a child last week in Flint, 2-year-old girl, shot herself in the face, and she's in the hospital, and her father is being charged. So we all know that these things are happening, and this program is just about education. It empowers each and every adult. So the Be Smart educational campaign was developed to reduce the deaths, injuries, and trauma that result when children gain access to unsecured firearms. The program emphasizes that secure storage is always the adult's responsibility, not training kids to not touch guns. It encourages individuals to take 5 simple steps to keep kids and families safer. The acronym SMART stands for S, secure guns in homes and vehicles; M, model responsible behavior around guns; A, ask about the presence of guns in other homes; R, recognize the role of guns in suicide; and T, tell your peers to be smart. Firearms are the leading cause of death for children and teens in Michigan and the U.S. as a whole, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. In the U.S., middle and high school age children are now more likely to die as the result of a firearm injury than from any other single cause of death. And some of the reasons why are that we currently have 4.6 million children in America who live in homes with guns that are both loaded and unlocked. Every year, 350 children in America under 18 years old gain access to a firearm and unintentionally shoot themselves or someone else. In 2021 alone in Michigan, there were 18 unintentional shootings by children, resulting in 7 deaths and 11 injuries. And in the US, 3 out of 4 school shooters acquired their firearm from the home of a parent or a close relative. 90% of suicide attempts with a gun result in death, a much higher fatality rate than any other means of self-harm. Research shows that secure storage practices play a vital role in reducing the risk of gun violence by preventing unintentional shootings, gun suicides, and school gun violence. Volunteers have been active across Michigan encouraging school districts to pass resolutions that inform parents and gun owners about the critical importance of secure storage. As of January 20th, 27 Michigan school districts have secure storage resolutions in place about educating their community. For example, Birmingham School District sent home secure gun storage information in their start of school packets. I will leave this information folder here that has sample resolutions from 3 school districts in Michigan. And there are print versions of some downloadable materials in here as well. Also, Be Smart has a simple website called besmartforkids.org, which can be shared regularly. The following organizations have endorsed Be Smart: Michigan State Police, Office of School Safety, Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, Michigan Elementary and Middle School Principals Association, Michigan Education Association, Michigan PTA, Michigan Association of School Psychologists. Gun violence is impacting the health and well-being of children. Informing school families of secure storage of firearms is one reasonable precaution you can take at little cost. We could make sure families know how to store guns securely in their homes, which means storing them locked, unloaded, and separate from ammunition. Thank you for your time.
Natalie, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I think you'll find that we're all very interested. Will you hand that packet to Chris Giannetti? She's our communications director, and she will help make certain that we get that information to the board, and then we can take a broader look at it. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I speak for everybody. I think all of those pieces are things that we're very interested in having a conversation about.
Okay. Thank you for your time and your comments to the board. Now we go to discussion items. We would like to move 23, 24, 74, to the bottom of action items. So it will go from being an action item, or excuse me, to being a discussion item to being an action item. Okay. Non-unit salary schedule.
Marcus, you got this?
Yep. All right, good evening. So what we have in front of you tonight is a copy of the non-unit salary schedule. This would be for all those folks that are not covered under any other bargaining group or agreement with the district. We do bring this every year to the board. Tonight, we're just for discussion. We'll come back next month for an approval. It does include a 2% cost of living adjustment increase for the 25 people affected on the schedule. We did review this at the January 26th Finance and Facilities Committee. So again, the impact to next year's budget would be just under $50,000 in total. And again, we'll be back next month to seek an approval for this.
Does anybody have any questions for Marcus? All right, it's the same. If
Yeah.
you looked at last year, it's
the same
identical
thing.
to last year.
One quick question. So the names were removed. What was the rationale
I
behind
think it's just positions.
positions?
Yeah, and part of this is because we're working on a salary schedule for non-unit employees. And in order to do that, you have to move away from a name into a position. And the reason we're looking at a salary schedule has to do with ORS and how they treat individual members who are not part of a bargaining unit. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, next we'll discuss 23-24-76 elementary special education curriculum. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We're excited to be before you again today. And can you hear us? Make sure that's on. It's on. We're good. And so my name is Dr. Precious Armstrong, and this is Mrs. Sarah Pope, and we have the pleasure of serving as your special education supervisor. So we're having a blast, and we're happy to bring back to you this alignment, this vertical alignment of curriculum. We tackled this secondary previously and have that up and going, and now we're going to talk about the elementary portion. It's important to note the amazing people that were a part of this process. So, of course, Assistant Superintendent Julie Baker has been on this ground floor from the start. And then it's important to note all the different resource teachers and impact coach that were involved with this process. So all of these amazing people helped us to pilot everything that you're seeing in your packets. The way we attacked this was first we had presentations brought to us by various vendors. And so those were presented to everyone that you saw on that initial page. Then we were very intentional with piloting from November through February. And so we just have wrapped that up. Closing that out, we had our members of this body come together and say what it was that they were enjoying. What did they truly want to take away? And that is the presentation that you see before you. Then we followed up by inviting parents of our students, parents of students within the district, within elementary resource classrooms, to give feedback. We were very excited to have some different families come out. We had hoped they were going to make it tonight. They weren't quite certain, but we were really excited to have that opportunity, closing that gap, recognizing that we did not have that opportunity with secondary, but we made sure to extend that to our elementary families. And so the recommendation that you see before you is looking at reading mastery transformation through McGraw-Hill, connecting math concepts through McGraw-Hill, and Let's Go Learn. What that means is that's going to be a vertical alignment of the materials that are utilized for instruction within our resource classrooms. And it allows us to close the gap for our students while allowing for an overlapping of what is currently being used for reading and ELA overall instruction within our elementary classrooms, in addition to pairing well with the what they're going to be putting forward for their math selection with the general ed settings as well. Then Let's Go Learn. That piece is going to allow us to create better diagnostics and information for families. And so what that will do is allow our families to see where our students really are, and not in an edgy-speak way. That is a piece we're going to extend K-12. because we recognize if we're truly going to be in partnership with our families and with all of our colleagues, everyone needs to understand the same thing about the strengths and the areas for growth of our students. In addition, that Let's Go Learn piece will also add an opportunity to have remediation within the gen ed setting on top of the interventional materials that are currently available within gen ed. So you have a true wraparound for all of the students that we are servicing. And so that's what you see here with that seamless integration, the inclusive interventions, rich reports, and that K-12 alignment. And so what we want to do is take a moment. We're going to have Lee Brocker from McGraw-Hill speak to it briefly. Then we have Jessica and Jennifer from Let's Go Learn. They'll speak to it briefly to give you an opportunity to ask them questions about that. Then we're going to have teaching representation, both with our impact coach as well as one of our resource teachers, making sure that you get to hear what their thoughts were around this. And we had hoped to have parents, but we can wrap it up by telling you how positively they received that. Okay, so first up, if we can have Ms. Brocker come up. And I'm gonna go ahead and just slide her in.
Thank you. The Reading Mastery Transformations is a program that's been evidence-based with 60 plus years of instruction being used throughout the nation. The Reading Mastery program is probably most recognized from the standpoint that, and I shared this with the parents, there's a placement test that students in special education are provided. Those assessments help a teacher design the instruction based on where the students will be error-free in their learning, which for a lot of students is quite a step back from when children come to school and they're starting to struggle. We want them to be error-free and have success and confidence right from the very beginning. So the Reading Mastery Transformations program will be a program that will enable you to have continuity and consistency across all the grade levels, and those same students will have the same type of design, specially designed instruction that aligns to what your secondary students are getting, just expecting obviously to be more primary looking, because the situation with your secondary was you had an older group of students that might be struggling, so you needed those materials to have an older look to them. And so it was that vertical alignment that the district was most interested in. Secondly, I think some of the most important features of Reading Mastery is that it has a built-in progress monitoring that enables a teacher to know how successful the program is working with their students. And that feedback then helps to give teachers tools to remediate anything that the students are still struggling with. So again, always giving those tools so teachers find they're not having to search for the tools to be successful. We're trying to transform their classrooms so that they become that successful instructor, and those students become better readers and writers and spellers. And that will complement what they're working on in their core instruction within the general education. Yes, I'm sorry. So the Connecting Math Concepts material is a program that has, again, years of research. These are all evidence-based programs that have been used for years with students with who might struggle or need special instruction. And the reason that Connecting Math Concepts has seemed so successful is, again, it builds on a tool where you break the sub-skills down in order to make it be easier to understand those smaller parts of math instruction. And again, every 10 lessons, the teacher is giving a built-in assessment to check, kind of like a check engine light that I was talking to parents about. Like, it's constantly kind of telling you, okay, they're getting it, or they're not getting it. Stop, fix this, move on when they're successful. And one of the most important tools is the ability to accelerate for students who might be below level, to accelerate those first two levels in order to make catch-up growth. And those are always tools that when, having been a special education teacher myself, The ability to move students at an optimal rate is key for anyone with an IEP, that you just constantly meet their individual needs and move the students based on how they're performing in their classrooms.
And then recognizing that this is going to be paper concepts, so they're going to have materials in their hands. We're going to speak to the Let's Go Learn piece that's going to add that other modality of giving that gaming option and giving that interface on the tablets that gives us even more seamless integration. And so what you're seeing is that interplay between the open court that has already been purchased for ELA, because that is all part of that same umbrella, using, again, as Lee shared, evidence-based. We know research is amazing, but where is our proof that this works? And so these are evidence-based, so we know that these things work for our children. And so again, looking at knowing that pivotal piece for our K-5 babies is oftentimes a light bulb goes on. And it goes on so quickly in elementary, we need to make sure that we have all the things available to really shore up and work ourselves out of a job, because that's the goal of special ed. The goal is not to be a place, but be a continuum of service and support so that we can move these children on so that they don't need us anymore. They've got all those skill sets that they need. Did you have any questions regarding McGraw-Hill? Okay, then I'd like to invite our Let's Go reps to come up and speak to that, what we have to offer. Uh-oh, did I mess up something?
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure. My name's Jennifer Weiss. I'm from Let's Go Learn. I'm the learning consultant over at Let's Go Learn. And then this is Jessica McLeod, and she is the customer service specialist. Together, we would make your partners in practice. So we're really excited to show you some of the things that have been going on through the trial. And we're excited to have you guys further partner with us, hopefully. So anyway, just a little bit about me and Jessica and our why, and Let's Go Learn's why. So first of all, I was a teacher, 21 years in special education, 15 as a director, and thank you, appreciate that. And lover of all learning. And then number one, my motto is data or it didn't happen. And for any of you who know special education, we do a lot of data. And data can kind of make people's eyes kind of roll back in their head. So if you're not a data person, let me put it to you this way. When you have a goal, you need to know where you are and you need to know where you're going. And our students need to know exactly where they are and exactly where they're going in every single thing that they do in ELA and math. And that's what we're able to do at Let's Go Learn. And so what we do at Let's Go Learn is we have diagnostic data that gives you a heartbeat. And when I say a heartbeat, we actually call it active pulse in our program. And that active pulse allows you not just to have that snapshot of where you are right now, but your teachers have formative assessments that allow you to update that data in real time, anytime you want to, before an IEP. So your teachers have the data that they need to write real in-time IEPs at the moment that they need them, and that you have that data at your fingertips at all times. And that's really one of our strengths. Like I said, data or it didn't happen. That is why I love Let's Go Learn. So when I did step out of the classroom, I found a program that aligns with what my belief is about special education. And so today we're here just to show you a few things about the program. If you partner with us, Jessica is actually local, and she was actually one of the founding members of Let's Go Learn. So she left and came back. So we're really excited to have her back because she actually knows the program inside and out, and she would be your launch specialist for your professional development, and she's in your backyard. So, which is really exciting. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that. So I already told you my why. Sorry, I'm terrible at pushing the things.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you all for having us here this evening. As Jen stated, I am very local. I live in Ann Arbor, so it's a quick drive down the highway to get here. I'm a former classroom teacher, and then while I was in graduate school, my mentor, Dr. Rick McCallum, founded Let's Go Learn with Richard Capone, the CEO. So I've been involved since the very early days of the company, and I'm absolutely passionate about Let's Go Learn. So what we offer are diagnostic assessments in both reading and math for students kindergarten through 12th grade. It does not matter how old the student is when they're taking the test. The assessments adapt to student performance, so they get harder as the students do well, and they back off and go to easier test items to find the student's comfort zone, and then we push them to frustration in all the sub-skills we measure. Then immediately upon completion of the assessments, we place them in instruction. So that's the adaptive learning piece. So we've got supplemental reading and math programs that are based very cleanly upon the granular data gathered from the assessments. A quick glance at the assessments. We've got DORA, the Diagnostic Online Reading Assessment. We measure 7 sub-skills of reading. It's all automated. This is the kindergarten through 2nd grade interface. It's very young, playful. Kids get to choose their avatar for engagement. But then we're really assessing the students just like a specialist teacher would do. The moment students are done testing, teachers have access to all of the data. There's no lag time. You don't have to wait for us to reach out to you and say, hey, we processed it. It's there as the students go through the test. And the teachers can immediately form small groups for classroom instruction. They can print out a report for parents. We have specific reports written for parents with individualized details and instructional activity recommendations they can do at home so that students can continue working on activities at home. We also have immediate placement into the EDGE program, which is our supplemental instruction program, which I'll show you a little clip in a moment. And then also we have reports that really support the writing the IEPs. We help with setting your goals, looking at your current levels, and setting measurable targeted goals. The instructional format for our EDGE program, every lesson has 3 components. They start off with explicit instruction, then it's followed by a reinforcement piece, which is song and dance and engaging for the students, and then finally they have that gamified practice where they get corrective feedback and get to work on the skill that they were just working on. All of that is recorded, how long it took the student, what score they get, and teachers can constantly see how their students are doing on the instruction. We have the same thing for math. We have a K-7 math assessment, measures 5 strands of math broken into 44 subtests. The moment the students are done testing, again, all of that data is there. With groups, we can help make small groups in the classroom. We can provide reports for parents. We place automatically into the instructional piece, and we help with those IEP pieces for teachers as well.
As far as the IEP component goes, if your teachers are needing data, the data drives right into an IEP support program that saves the teachers 50% of their time on writing IEPs and helps keep them in compliance, because all of those things that need to be in compliance for an IEP, all the dots are connected for them. So we take that time off the teacher's plate and put them back in the classroom where they need to be with their students.
Yeah. So after the K-7 measure, we do also have a pre-algebra measure for students who are ready to be pushed a little bit farther. And then we also have an algebra component for those older students who are ready to push on. And you have, again, the individualized granular data for every student, instructional placement, and support for the IEPs. And the lesson format for math works just like it did for reading, with the explicit instruction followed by an instructional song and gamified practice with corrective feedback. So that's a very quick overview of our programs. Do you have any questions that we can answer for you now?
Training.
Training.
Yes. Can you tell me about training?
Absolutely. Okay. So all of our training is systematically aligned with your launch. And so we kind of work backwards. We figure out where you want to start. We want to make sure that we're aligning that in digestible chunks for your teacher. The first step is obviously learning how to give the diagnostic, but we're going to do that how and the why so that we have the buy-in from the teachers. They understand why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how they give that diagnostic. It's actually really quick lift as far as that goes. That is one of probably the easiest lifts for the teacher, is actually giving the diagnostic. The second layer of instruction is going to be looking at that data. We're going to have that data training. You have your implementation specialist, Jessica, who's in your backyard. So we do have that PD built into your program, that you're going to have that component as well. And then as you move throughout the year, we're going to have updated training as that. So what we'd like to do is have one day where we're going to do like a few hours where we're going to have kind of a view of everything. And then we're going to come back and do some support trainings as needed. If you have needs for more support inside the program includes as far as on the main page, you can access support very easily. The turnaround time on our support is better than any other system I've ever seen. I actually get to see that support. So when my customers ask a question, it goes to support. I see it. If it doesn't get answered within that day, I would be very surprised. It actually usually gets answered within an hour, and most times within a half an hour. And then I always tell my customers, please always CC me, because if I don't see that you're getting your answers quickly, you can get them from me as well. Most of our implementation specialists also are in a very lax text communication with implementations, because we want to make sure that you get the data that you need throughout your implementation. We have lots of support buttons within the program, so the teachers have access to information on the system that's very easy to access and easy to use. So if you have a new teacher coming in and you want to get them started, you can start using those supports, but we're happy to do Q&A sessions to support you throughout the school year as well. So as needed, we can add those supports into the system to make sure, especially on your first year, that your implementation is very, very strong, that they understand the program. And then we're going to build those other trainings based on where you are, because we have teachers that just fly and they figure things out on their own, and then we have teachers that need a little bit more support, and we understand that piece, and we want to make sure that we support you throughout that. But like I said, we break things into digestible chunks so that as we're rolling out the program, everybody understands what they need to be doing and what the next steps are. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. So if our district partners with you, what's the follow-up? So we embrace this new model, Let's Go Learn. When will we get the data? Like at what point? Is it annually?
So the data is,
I was going to say, so that's one of those real-time things. So
Okay.
the game plan is for, at minimum, our students should be getting this testing every time we do a new cycle, right? So every time there's a new IEP at minimum, but they're going to have ongoing data. So parents should be getting regular data that supports with their progress reports. So every time, so roughly every 6 weeks, parents should be getting additional information that we're drawing from this system in addition to McGraw-Hill. Because again, we want to get away from one data point. We want to get to a more triangulated method so that we're truly giving a full picture of where our children are at. So it's going to be, at minimum, you're looking at about every 6 weeks. But if it needs to be more, then we need to have more conversations, because some of our babies, we need to be talking about them weekly. But that data will be there because both these programs, they merge together in a way that teachers will have that real-time information about what our children are able to do and where we need to build in greater supports. And they don't have to go find the supports. They will have those things at their fingertips. Okay.
Can I ask real quick, what's your order time if we were to move forward? How
Under
soon?
48
and
hours?
How soon could implementation
extremely
take
quick.
place?
So depending on whether you onboard with Clever or whether you do like a Excel upload, there's a little bit of a difference, but it is very quick. It's the most it ever is. It's because of Clever. You know, we're at the mercy of Clever and you guys getting your information in. And so that usually takes about 5 days. But if it's like a just a like Excel upload, then we can usually do that within 24 to 48 hours. So if you signed a contract, literally, like, it's go time. And
we're looking at 14 days for the McGraw-Hill piece. We're looking at 14 days from order. So as soon as you all, if you would be ever so inclined as to approve this recommendation, then we're looking at, we would order the next day, and we're looking at 14 days later. Now that we've gotten it under our belt as to how to disseminate it, we now know we have to have teams to get it out. So we're looking at really 14 days to get there and probably a max of about another week to get it all out to everybody. But in the meantime, and so then we're looking at it a max of 5 days for Let's Go Learn. So combined, we should have Let's Go Learn up within 5, and we're looking like about 2.5, 3 weeks for McGraw-Hill. So we'd have everybody up within a month, And on top of that, they've been very accommodating both with both vendors with saying, okay, what time can we get in here to train your students? So we can make that happen as soon as you all are willing to approve this amazing recommendation. We will get this running because the goal is to get these things in everyone's hands.
The dates are penciled in.
And just a couple more follow-ups. So we're anticipating that we would be up and operational with this year.
Absolutely.
And the data points that you're talking about or speaking to would be able to inform our spring IEPs because IEP season is coming.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then I think you brought some teaching staff.
Yes, we did.
I'd love to hear from them on their
Thank you
perspective.
very much. So if I could have, we've got a wonderful impact coach and we have got a wonderful resource teacher. And they're each going to speak to just the benefits they saw because, again, they were both part of this process.
Hi, I'm Barb Holsey. I'm the impact coach, instructional coach at Northeast Elementary. I am also a former resource teacher. I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
I'm Crystal Simon. I'm the resource room teacher at Sharp Park Academy. Sorry.
So for me, when we were looking at this, I was very excited because it is a first. And when I say that, it's because over 20-some years, 27 years that I've been in the district, we have never had any curriculum for the special ed. I was always part of many cycles. I've been through many cycles when we're looking at resources for reading, math. I was always on those committees to make sure that special ed had access to those things for the general ed curriculum. But when it came down to resource teachers, we always had to kind of pull from different things. So what I like about this is that it will create kind of that seamlessness that we need going from open court, trying to get those kids. Sometimes open court doesn't quite get it for those kids. You need something more. So that's what reading mastery and connected math, that's what connecting math concepts, thank you. Connecting math concepts will do for those kiddos that we can't quite use what we have, that we need something more. I can't even say enough for Let's Go and Learn. The fact that we can use the information right then and it happens in real time. We can create IEPs that are much more intentional and on point. We can give that data to the parents, the teachers involved, and it keeps kind of that cohesiveness. And I think for our parents, that the ones that saw it, they were really, really excited about it. So for me, I'm a little giddy, even though I'm not even doing special ed, but I am totally giddy about this.
All right, so I did test this with my students, and the assessment process was easy for the students. They did not stress about it. Like sometimes the NWA, they kind of stress about it, but it was a really nice format for them. They did really well going through it, and yeah, like they said, right when they were done taking the assessment, I immediately had the data. I was able to pinpoint like where they had their strengths and where they had their weaknesses, and then it also gives me. It gave like the data, it gave like what you can put in your PLAF. Like these are the areas that there are strengths, these are the weaknesses. It gave descriptive information for all that we can just put that in our PLAFs and give more to our IEPs that we need to like kind of buff up a little bit more, but it was just all instant. And then the students really like that program and doing it in class. And sometimes with our students, they're behind and they sometimes don't feel like when they're not at grade level, so they are struggling. So with this program, they are feeling more confident in the classroom and they are liking this program. And so this is also just another helpful tool for them to get successful that they can do in the classroom to be successful as well as they can do at home. So this is just on top of the the Lexia and Symphony Math and all this stuff. But they're really enjoying it. They really like the concept of it. And so far, so what my students, they said that they really like this program, but I also really like the data. I really liked that it gave me everything that it was great. So questions?
I'm impressed with the real-time component, right? And so not having that, can you describe what your experience has been like as a teacher, not having that real-time data and how you're trying to connect the dots with the resources that you have currently?
So it's just constant with becoming with your IEPs. I'm just constantly testing and constantly retesting. And just I gotta go to the gen ed teachers. It just gives me more detail and more like so that like I don't want to explain. So sorry, I'm really nervous.
Relax.
So, but it just, I really like that it gives us, it pinpoints for them so we can really, and it's like versus sometimes we might not look at a specific area, be like, okay, this is where they need to learn, or we might not hit that yet, and it still lets us know, just so we can give the parents the most information and the IEPs the most information. So,
to put it into perspective, one of the things that we know that she's really underselling herself, that we have some amazing folks that are providing special ed programming, absolutely amazing. But one of the things that they've had to do in the past is they're creating these assessments themselves. So they're creating them. They're figuring out, I need to do a running record. I need to figure out what my writing sample needs to look. What's the rubric that I need to create for that? What math assessment am I going to use? Am I going to pull the one from Gen Ed? And so it consolidates by mirroring these programs. We consolidate that. So we're doing more with less movement all over the place. Because one of the things we have to bear in mind is anytime we stretch out to go grab something else that takes away from that snapshot moment, so then that data might be old comparison to the data I've already gathered. And so now we're pulling it together in this very tight hub so that you have the information you need right now to inform your practice, so that we're truly doing formative teaching. We're not just saying, this was the summative from 6 weeks ago. I'm still pulling the information so that I know what my children are able to do right now to truly use that data to drive instruction. And so again, we have a phenomenal staff that does amazing things, but this is going to take some of that workload down so that they're not spending so much time on this piece of assessment and more time on closing the gap for our students. Other questions?
Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, am I correct in my assumption that the superintendent would be recommending this for approval at the March meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I will be recommending this at the March meeting, but I would love to know if there's appetite tonight to move this. I've got staff who would love this product, and if we can get it into their hands quicker, I think that's well worth our time.
That answers my question. My next question would be to Dr. Armstrong. Is there any reason why we would delay this 30 days?
No, we would love it if you all saw fit to approve this evening, because that would allow us to move forward with making sure our teachers have what they need, which better serves the students that we have the pleasure of providing for.
That's my biggest concern, is making sure that the materials in the hands of the teachers in time for them to become so familiar with it that the students, it just becomes an automatic thing for them. I'm just extremely excited about having an actual special ed curriculum that's not just what's left over from general ed. And because the kids aren't going to go out into a general ed job, or they're going into a general ed job, general ed whatever. And I just am so excited they're going to have these kinds of skills and immediate feedback, which is huge.
Quick question, this is probably more for our vendors. The conversation came up earlier about training and professional development. Obviously, we'll have training and professional development this year if the board moves forward. But I'm interested in what that looks like over the summer and next fall as we ramp up again for the 24-25 school year. Can you just real briefly speak to what that looks like?
As soon as a contract is signed, we have what's called an implementation journey document. That document goes over everything that you are provided and everything that you want to accomplish within your implementation. That implementation drives everything we do for the entire year. that you are implementing that with us, or in this case, it would be a 3-year contract. And so what that does is it allows us to make sure that we have continued professional development and that we're aligning it with your dates that you're doing your diagnostic. You can use the diagnostic whenever, but that gives you the, we want to know when you're testing so that we're giving you the support when you have those things going on, and that we're scheduling those things out throughout the year. So we would be reaching out to you on a regular basis to have that on the calendar for the entire 12 months.
And McGraw-Hill has had a wonderful relationship already this year. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we've been doing job-embedded coaching with open court reading, and similar environment happens within our direct instruction program. So not only would we have initial training, but we have the availability of built-in professional learning environment within both of these programs. So the teachers have access to that kind of like PED in your PJs, you know, if you need to look into it. And then, of course, we've put aside funding for the job-embedded coaching. So the teachers who are using the program have the opportunity to have a non-evaluative curriculum specialist come in and work with them when they're there with students. So that's been something we've done.
Advantage of that this year. We've taken advantage of that this year with our secondary implementation already, with not only doing that onboarding, but also bringing that coach out to work with those teachers and setting up subs so that we can circulate around to make sure we're filling in those holes. The plan for implementation is do the same thing with both programs. Do the onboarding and get them going and get that ongoing coaching, because recognizing it's one thing for us to see it the first day, is a whole nother thing when you're in the thick of it trying to do it. And so we want to make sure our teachers have the capacity, and we're continuing to build and partner with them because they're our boots on the ground.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Did the board have any other questions?
One question, one follow-up question. So for clarification, we make a decision today. This is a discussion item currently. If we move it to an action item, is this all of the information that we need? If we waited till March, is there any anticipation of providing the board with more information for us to make a better informed decision?
No, because the only thing that we haven't done is pilot more of the diagnostic with secondary.
Okay.
But secondary had already looked at it and we're like, we kind of want this. But before we did that, we wanted to get elementary because that diagnostic piece we need to see what that looked like K-12. And so that was the piece. That is the only thing that would be different, is giving them a longer time with the diagnostic, but they'd already looked at it because they brought it to me. We're like, have you seen this? So definitely you have the dates, you have the data with regard to the evidence of this, as well as the numbers behind the cost. So we are on board if you all are.
Madam Chair. I'll make a motion to approve the new elementary special education curriculum at a cost of $558,265, inclusive of professional development for staff paid for through our ESSER 3 funds.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard, folks.
Thank you. We'll be purchasing.
I'm excited about this.
I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight to participate. Teachers, thank you very much. You need to know that your support for this, your encouragement for this makes a big difference to the Board of Education.
Okay, for the discussion, we have middle school math curriculum.
You guys come in force.
Good evening, curriculum experts, Board of Education.
We have the middle school math pilot that we have some administration and teachers here. And I'm going to get out of their way. So you know me, Jeremy Patterson. We've sat in on this middle school at Parkside pilot program for the better part of this year.
And again, I'm Destiny Davis, the assistant principal.
I'm Paulette Lafayette. I am the 7th grade math teacher at Parkside.
I'm Christina Swihart, the math department chair for middle school at Parkside and 4th Street Learning Center, and I teach Math 180.
And I am Libby Riemann, and I teach 6th grade math.
So those are the introductions. We're going to move to the next slide, but Big Ideas could not be with us tonight. Our rep, Eric, is moving, so he's not going to continue to be our rep. So our new contact person will be Patrick Tanner. So if we do end up coming back next month and you see Patrick and not Eric, that's why. So there was a difficulty in making today possible. But you see our timeline of curriculum review events that have been all year long and kind of deciding what we want to do here and where we're going. So there's the number of days and months and activities you've seen, but I'll let our teachers, anything else you want to share about onboarding process there? If not, we'll move to the next slide, please. So the last curriculum review was Springboard Math in 2015. And so it's been about 8 years or so since we continue with that program. So we're looking to update with Big Ideas, and I'll let our teachers share a little bit about why we want to do that.
I'll start first. One of the big things is that Springboard kind of isn't purchased for us anymore in the last couple of years. So we're looking at something that can implement more technology, more real world experiences, and offer more variety for our students to kind of connect with them a little better than just a workbook, which is what Springboard was previously. What we find is the students are a little bit more engaging because of what it offers, visually appealing to them. It offers them a lot of checking for understanding, ways for teachers to differentiate the instruction for them without them even knowing with the online platform. And something too that's come up in classrooms is having ESL translations and resources for our students that are ESL learners. Do you guys want to add anything?
One thing that I liked in this curriculum is that a lot of times in math, they'll say, well, when are we ever going to use math? They definitely have careers in which someone will video and express. They could be a marketing person, and they have to have a budget, break down that budget, how they're going to use it. And therefore, it will show the students in any career that you're in, you're going to use some math. And I like that idea. I don't have to come up with a career that they're going into. They have examples already there. So that helped out a lot.
So we did some instructional rounding. So we were in the classrooms all day. Last week at middle school at Parkside, teachers were able to observe other teachers. And we saw this lesson on a female firefighter. And it was a conversation starter for our students too. We know some of our feedback, there's anxiety about math. I can't do math. I don't want to participate. I'm not going to raise my hand. But when you start off with something that they might connect with first before you get into the content, we saw the students really participating. This was a co-taught special education 8th grade math class, and just kind of letting their guard down, if you will, were some of the feedback and observations that we saw firsthand in a classroom that was piloting Go Math.
I just think it's been nice to have a resource on hand to use. Last year was my first year teaching math here, and we kind of compiled things from the filing cabinet that my teaching partner had. And so it's been nice to just have something to go to and, refer to. So that's been a nice piece as a teacher.
I just want to point out that in our pilot that Ms. Swihart and I kind of put together, we decided that each level would be able to pilot it in one of their hours. So Ms. Riemann had an honors class, and then a regular Math 6 that you were doing it in. And it was just those 2 hours. So you could see how the kids were able to get the content in a different way, as opposed to teaching it 100% and not really comparing it to the other curriculum that we had been using. And we thought that was something that was going to be really valuable, because then teachers could really see the difference in the two, what we had been doing, and then how is this really that much better, and get a little more of an understanding on that aspect of it.
All right, you can switch the slides, please. Oh, sorry. All right, so one of the things is Big Ideas at middle school is called Math and You. And so like the conceptual foundation, something I wanted to point out is being able to have them understand the procedural fluency and, again, that real life application. The big thing too, like Libby just kind of commented on, was the teaching support. And it will help you also identify the gaps in kids, make connections, uses resources for remediation, and offer extra practice for each of the individual students, as well as, you know, a lot of times, like the last group was talking about special ed, sometimes our advanced kids, which we do offer honors classes, but not all of our students are always in that honors level. And so it's nice too, because it has an enrichment piece. So even if they're in your general 7th grade math class, because they didn't quite make it to algebra, you can still push them to their ability by offering that enrichment piece. Engaging content, making it connect with their real lives and now and in the future. And then digital. We haven't had other than like IXL, we haven't really had a digital component for our math curriculum. So being able to have them practice on math online, hands-on, as well as watching the videos and having that resource at their fingertips. Something I didn't point out on the previous slide too is this is the Big Ideas is starting a brand new version like now. So what we're piloting is still in process. So the pilot this year has been completely free, all aspects of it for us to use. And so that was another thing, like it's a brand new top of the line that they're putting out on the market right now for their program. And we're in it with them. So they ask us, how's it going? What do you need? What do you see? What do you have questions on? And we're getting responses from them pretty quickly. And okay, let me take that to them. We'll see if we can incorporate that somehow. And so that's been nice too, because of not having that in the past. We did do it, and again, it's kind of a short turnaround for the survey part because of, if you look at our timeline, the true actual implementation between all the snow days we got in January finally, it kind of delayed part of our timeline for piloting the program. So our survey, we did survey the teachers that are using it, and all 7 math teachers are piloting with Big Ideas. Again, just 1 class, sometimes 2 if you have the honors class. And we even implemented the pilot in a co-taught class, like Mr. Patterson mentioned. And the biggest thing that came back from pretty much everybody is that connection to real life. And they like how each unit begins with what we call an exploration job. So getting the kids to explore, how does this tie into how I can use it in math, how I'm going to use it in my future. Because, you know, they think even people that work at fast food restaurants may not need math. And it's like, you can tie that in. The firefighter, all sorts of things. And to see that tied into geometry and angles, and they're like, oh, yeah, that ladder. How's that ladder? Okay, I do need to think about the angle to make sure I'm using it right. So that's one of the biggest things that we heard back from the staff for their implementation.
Okay, this is the student and parent survey that was sent out. And so I made an error because I sent it to all classrooms and not all classrooms piloted. So a lot of the feedback was, no, I have not seen this curriculum because all the students at Parkside are not participating. And so they said there was not a difference between the past curriculum and what we're currently doing. And so again, they haven't seen a lot of the online components or maybe even gone into Google Classroom and seen things because they just weren't participating. I like this second comment because I think that's something that we're doing. The moral of the story here is enjoyment is more important than the content. And so that's something that this new curriculum is actually doing before we get into the content, trying to connect with students on why are we doing this again today? Is this going to count as a grade? It's not that part, right? But it's trying to see themselves in how this is going to benefit them in the future. And then I like the third feedback too. It says copies of the test need to be provided to, it's that home school connection. So it's not just done at school, but it's not just technology too. Our math teachers don't like to do everything on the computer. They want to have paper copies too. They have study guides, they have writables, foldables, all those things that students can take notes on and then refer back to later. So that was another thing that we observed in the classroom that will help with that home to school connection. The breakdown of the proposal is a 6-year subscription. We'll have digital access for students. So when we talk about onboarding, that portion will be immediate because we're a 1-to-1 district, meaning approximately 900 students at the middle school level. I can also add that Jackson High School did kind of a let's check this out Zoom professional development because they knew that Parkside was and they wanted to look into it a little bit more as well. The teachers already have the teacher resources in the corners. Going back to Christina's part that this is their newest adoption of the curriculum, it's my understanding that every Jackson County school participates with Big Ideas except for one district other than us. So they don't even have what we're piloting, but they're all using this curriculum. So that was another point that I want to bring up. And so we'll have classroom sets, and this is a one. I said, is this price right? Like, is this what we pay every year? He said, no, this is what you pay for the 6 years, and you'll continue to get all these books. The only reason why this would change is if you had an influx of students. So if we went from 900 to like 1,200 or something, then you'd have to pay for additional copies, or if the dog ate their homework and all the books disappeared, something like that. But that is the price for 6 years. So I was pretty impressed to see that. And then this is the big part for me because you just don't do the training at the beginning of the year and get it, but it's that ongoing coaching and support. And that is every year. And it specifically says in the agreement in the beginning year and the end in the middle of the year, every year. And so there's not like 1 hour. There's not only virtual, there's in-person, there's virtual, there's beginning of the year, there's middle of the year. If we have new teachers next year, we just repeat. Beginning of the year, middle of the year, let's check in, see how you're doing. Just coordinating schedules is basically what was explained to me. And so that coaching, not just in 24 or 25, but for the 6 years of the agreement shows a true partnership between the publisher and the school. You guys good there?
I can use a teacher voice, but the only thing too is like he reiterates that the training is at least twice a year. So if, like, for instance, in the pilot, I sit in a department meeting, I have questions from the teachers, I shoot an email out, and within a couple of days, I have an answer. And so that's on top of the virtual or in-person training, is they're always like willing to help and answer. So I think that's something just to add, because it being so new to us and new to them, they're at our fingertips for help. And with technology these days, it makes it so much easier. Oh, the teacher resources on the previous slide. The teacher resources, like, it comes, like Libby kind of mentioned, just having something to look at. It comes with, yes, an old-fashioned like teacher edition textbook, but it also has like obviously their answer keys, resources to be able to show the kids in-person hard copies, as well as everything offered to the teacher online. So back in the old days when you had to carry everything, these huge backpacks back and forth, now you can take and have all that right on our MacBooks and easy at your fingertips. Also, I know that Paulette's used them quite a bit, is like the extra practices it offers. So if the kids that aren't understanding, we can differentiate and give them like a refresher, which will give them more examples and more practice at their level as well. So it's not necessarily like, here's your 20 questions. It could be, let's go through a couple more examples. Let's try it a few more times. And it really leads to being able to differentiate easily, especially through the online platform, because you can give like an assignment over a section, and Libby could, the same skill, but Libby's worksheet could look different than all of ours and we wouldn't even notice. And so that's another nice portion to it too, is it's not recognizable to the students that they're getting different questions and different assignments. Same skill might be at a little different ability level.
I just wanted to say that as I've been using the big ideas, you and I, as well as with IXL, they can still get some extra training on IXL, and it's walking hand in hand with the big idea. So that's just additional ways of getting their understanding of what they're doing on IXL hand in hand with what we're doing in big idea.
Okay, I think we're on the last slide, and I wrote down some of the questions that you asked the last time. So we talked about professional development, how that's ongoing. We talked about onboarding, how we've already been trained because we're piloting, and that will continue year after year for the next 6 years. A portion of the data analysis, and I don't know if the teachers can speak to any assessments that they've been able to use, but Eric shared with me, like we can do mid-year check-ins. So right now we're doing mid-year inquiries with our teachers and administrators to look at usage and to look at, I don't know if it was different data assessments. So I don't know if you all are using the assessments, and I don't know that that would go back to them like it does and how we use it for IXL. But he did say there is an analysis portion that I typically check in on other content areas, like how's everything going? There's like an administrative dashboard, if you will. And then turnaround time, it was also my understanding like 6 to 10 business days, because most of it is digital. So that's the easy part. Plus, we already have the teacher resources because every teacher is piloting and we're not using any other building. So I think we're better than halfway home and can definitely work towards full implementation when we receive the green light. So those are the next steps, and we just thank you for your support and listening, as always, your questions. And so at this time, we'll just open it up in case there's anything else that you'd like to know.
Madam Chair, I presume at the March meeting that this would come back with a recommendation for approval from the superintendent? Okay. Mr. Patterson, do you see any reason why we would delay this for a month?
I do not. Do you? Would you second that? Okay.
It
There's
needs to be
nothing you're going to
unanimous
tell
across-
us in the next 30 days, right?
It's got to be unanimous across this whole board here.
No, nothing would change.
Pass it off, okay. Nothing will change, but I can tell you between now and if we wait another month, there would just be more opportunities for training and the teachers would be able to do it with more fidelity because they would have their fingertips in it more. So it would just be better.
Is that unanimous, Liv?
If we were to wait, it would be less time for the students to have differentiated work that could impact their spring test scores in May. All students, not just specific groups, right? Our remedial classes and stuff like that, they get that differentiation already. And our special education classes get that as well in direct. But our Gen Ed, Math 6, Honors 7, this makes it that much bigger of an impact.
I'm excited about this. I am. Yeah, good information, presentation. It makes sense. It seems pretty clear cut. I wish the people that were surveyed, we had that captivated audience so that we can have some real feedback. But just calling everyone's attention to number 3, I think we should do more than just consider that as a suggestion, but also take into consideration providing our parents with that paper copy of the test, because we know in our district that's one of our deficits, right? That parent involvement. And if this is one thing that bubbled to the surface currently, I think we should really hone in on this and see if we can provide that to them. And then go back to the traditional aspect. We used to send home those progress reports, and the teachers would give feedback. and then the parents would get it and maybe sign off and bring it back. So that accountability piece, I think, would help us even see more of the true metrics of the progress that's being made, where we're starting at, and where we hope to see our district.
I agree. I think we embrace all the feedback from our parents. I don't see anything critical here. It just helps us to do our jobs better. And I know we've done math nights in the past, and I can envision like moving forward with a new curriculum. Like a lot of parents don't want to fill out the surveys, but they'll come in for a math night. And so how can we put them through so they can kind of talk our language and be able to, even if it's math games, right? That's what we've done in the past, is to help our parents to engage with their students so they don't think we're doing new math in some way or fashion that they can't help their children from home. So that's how I see this moving forward.
So adding, I think Mr. Patterson must attend some of our school improvement meetings because we've already talked about having like a curriculum night, not just a math night. So it's working in the next month or so. We're finalizing dates. So to help hone in on that number 3 as well.
You can bring me in on the math nights. I got a second grader talk about new math that I'm already almost lost at. So this says 7 of 7 Parkside math teachers participated in the Big Ideas pilot. I'm guessing that it comes recommended by all of them, or they like all of them liked it. Okay. Madam Chair. Sure. I'd move to approve the proposed middle school math curriculum inclusive of the professional development for staff at a cost of $122,826 paid through our ESSER 3 funds.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
We'll now hear about elementary math curriculum.
Thank you very much. So the series that we've been using, K through 5, since I believe 2015 is Go Math. And Go Math was a good series to use, but it is no longer available for us online. It's no longer supported. And so in spite of the fact that we just approved an ELA curriculum, we did all of that work, we jumped right into to try to find a math program as well. And so we looked at dozens of different programs. We narrowed it down to about 6 and then really dug in deeply to those, looking at, we wanted a very recent publishing date, so we got something that was very current and that would not all of a sudden disappear on us and we wouldn't have it supported again. We looked for the ratings. We looked for good scope and sequence, the materials, and really good manipulatives, because we also agree that we don't just want our students online. We want them to be doing things using manipulatives as well in paper and pencil. We looked for support for differentiation for English language learners and special education students, alignment to Michigan standards. We looked for a really strong online personalized learning piece. And so with all of that in mind, we narrowed our search down to 2 series. And I have put information about both of them in front of you. We are currently in the process of, we just started the second pilot. We have already done a pilot of everyday math. And so we just underwent training and are getting set up with iReady, classroom mathematics. Both of those, what we found was that there was a really good spiral for our kids, really good scope and sequence, very good opportunities for review so that we know that, especially in elementary, if we don't keep coming back to things, kids will forget and we'll lose the progress that we've made. Really great manipulatives, wonderful learning games, a very strong online personal learning platform for students that would take the place of Symphony that we're currently using, and the ability to also do that diagnostic piece. And so just to let you know, again, we're currently doing a pilot for iReady, and the same teachers are piloting both programs. So they're hardworking. I mean, we just finished up, as I said, with ELL last year, and we've got a wonderful group of 15 teachers that are piloting both of these programs, which is a really big lift for them. They're very excited about both of them. And we should be bringing it is our expectation that we will be bringing a recommendation to you at the March meeting. I did want to invite you, we will have a math stakeholder night where both representatives from both series will be in attendance and presenting all of the highlights of their materials and their programs. It'll be on February 28th from 5 to 7 at Parkside, and that's for parents and our teachers who are not piloting the program, community members, board members, to come and have a look at it. So we will have an opportunity for parents to provide feedback on it based on that. The students that are currently doing both of the programs, they're going to provide feedback on both of them. And then the teachers that are currently piloting will be providing feedback that we'll present when we present our chosen series at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Are you leaning toward one? What are you looking for to make the cut? Make the cut. Who's going to make the cut?
I think we're looking for a balance between the spiral of having things come back around and again, because we know how important that is for elementary, but also having enough practice to achieve mastery. And then also a really strong online piece for our students. We've really done so well with Lexia Core 5 for ELA. We've yet to find something that really does the same thing for math. And so that's where we're looking at Alex is the name of the online program for everyday math. So we've had a chance to look at that. And then for iReady, they have, their program is called My Path. And so those are the pieces that we're really interested in, along with just a wonderful alignment to the state standards. And then really good professional development.
To everyday math.
We have a mixture of some teachers just absolutely loved it. They loved the games, they loved the manipulatives, they loved the math boxes in the morning. And so there was a strong push, to look at what that offered, because it's an updated version of that. And I would say that, there's probably, there's some fans of that and there's some fans of iReady, but we're just getting started with iReady. They're very, very excited after the training that they did last week, though. So
I think the mastery piece is what I'm really looking for myself. My dissertation, I was a math major for a long time. I changed to English my senior year, was on teaching. It was a curriculum for teaching math that was more like how you teach English. I mean, why do we, or the other way around, why do we have to teach multiplication tables more than there's not a mastery, more than one time, or why is that always a let's go back and do this? And I think the mastery piece is what I'm really looking for. So they go on to fourth grade, they really, really own third grade math.
It's such a balancing act because you want to teach things to mastery, but then you also want to keep coming back to them, because that regrouping, subtraction with regrouping is a nightmare that if you don't keep coming back to it, once they get it, you have to keep reminding them how to do it, or you get into trouble. Same with rounding. There's some certain things.
Yeah, and it's also important to make sure that they're relevant things. I am old enough that I had school and learned base 3, there's such things as 4 because you're in base 3. And I think the relevance and the mastery are the two things I personally am looking for in the new. And everyday math just gave me an instant headache. I thought, oh no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Julie, I anticipate that next month we'll have a slate of teachers to make the recommendation to the board.
Yes, we'll have the publisher with us, we'll have teachers with us who piloted. We'll also bring information from or feedback from the surveying that we'll do of all three groups, teachers, parents, and other community members that come through. So.
Thank you very much.
Wait, did you say you're going to pilot it or it's already in the pilot?
We are
phase?
in the process of piloting the second one now.
Okay.
So we will have finished that and we'll have a recommendation by next month.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we're going to talk about MASB Board of Directors, Region 7. And since I'm sure that every single one of us, including me, has spent hours and hours poring over resumes of people we've never heard of, I think it's important that we look at maybe the similarity of their background to our district and our district needs. Though the one that I kind of honed in on, what's her name? Sharon Lee. And she's been on the board for 9 years, so she's the incumbent. And she's Ypsilanti. And Ypsilanti, of all the ones that were in here, is really closest to us. And a lot of their concerns, and a lot of their trials, and a lot of their successes are very similar to ours. So my recommendation, without personally knowing any one of them and personally working with any one of them, just the match to our district and our concerns, my suggestion is Sharon Lee. You read them. Do you want to? What do you think?
Much like you, I don't know any of them from.
I do.
They're all from.
Yes. So I've reviewed them as well.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know any of them personally, but I do sit on the MASB board with Dale currently.
Okay.
And I know the work that he's doing and how he contributes to the state board of education. So I don't know if that's a conflict. Like right now in this moment, I'm feeling like it may be a conflict for me. I'm not certain.
Funny, as soon as you said that, we're going to birth them at the, oh yeah?
Yes. So yes, I do know Dale. And because I am working with him and have been for the past few months, it was tough. I looked at it through the same lens in which you just mentioned. How does it directly align with that? But to be in person and hear the work that he's doing that really speaks to our district and all of the districts, I support him.
Does anybody else have any other candidates? Otherwise, we would ultimately need a motion and.
I thought Michael McVeigh and Sharon Lee were good on pay. I agreed with the president's assessment of Sharon and Ypsilanti kind of speaking to some of our communities' similar interests and challenges. So I'm happy to offer a motion for Sharon.
Second? Is there a second for Sharon Lee? Second. Thanks, Lib. Second, Lib. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we will send our one little vote for the whole state into for Sharon Lee. Thank you.
Michelle will process that.
Okay. Okay, 80. Let's continue here. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? 23. What am I missing? Oh, here we are. Okay. We're going to do this?
Yep.
Okay, we got that one. All right. Special Board Policy Update, second reading and adoption.
Madam Chair, I move adoption of the policies as presented to bring the district in compliance with the legislative changes to para.
A second? Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Auditor appointment. Marcus, we going to present this one?
Yep. So last month, we brought the results of a recent RFP for audit services for JPS. Pointed out, we had sent the RFP out to 4 firms with 3 responses. You can see the average 3-year cost summarized there. And again, the administration is recommending that we award auditing services for JPS for the next 3 years to Maynard Custurizen for the 3 years ending in 2026 at this time.
So moved.
Motion for a 3-year contract to the new firm? Yes, motion? Support? Support? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, discussion? Any new discussion? Discussed last time? Okay. Motion passes. Okay, now technology purchases. Marcus again.
All right, so as part of our transition to All Covered, who will be providing technology services to us, we brought last month for discussion a list of hardware purchases that the district will need to make during the transition in order to be able to go live this summer with All Covered services. We do have this broken out into 2 different buckets. This first one of technology purchases in the amount of $572,495 is for a lot of the firewalls and servers and backup power supplies and things of that nature, along with some wireless access points. And then there'll be some more in the next item coming up shortly.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the technology purchases in the amount of $572,495 as presented.
Support.
Support. Discussion? We discussed it a lot last time. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. E-rate technology purchases. Marcus.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the E-rate purchase in the amount of $236,817 as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Resolution, City of Jackson easement. We talked about this last month. And Jeff, this is yours. Oh, in December?
We talked about it in December.
I'll move adoption of the resolution, authorize the superintendent to make minor modifications as needed, and authorize the superintendent to execute the quitclaim deed on behalf of the schools.
It's a very small strip of land that we haven't owned since the 1950s over off of West Avenue. And it's just to clean up title work. The city's got a purchaser for it, and they're going, well, there's a title issue out there. So we're going to get off this title that really should have happened back in the 1950s. Yeah. All 20 feet of it or whatever it happens to be.
Motion passes.
Abstain.
Oh, yeah.
I will
We have an
abstain from
abstain.
this decision.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the 2024 retention agreement as presented. I know I asked for this to actually be presented to us, so I appreciate the actual contract and move approval.
Support.
Support. All
Yeah, I had discussion because I was talked to Keisha, and I know she's at a conference, but she wanted to put her 2 cents in on this issue. And she said that she felt that the firm that we have now, maybe we've had them a little too long and are a little too close to them. So where we would be biased by some issues. So that's her comment.
Any more discussion? No? Okay, motion on the table is to stay with our current firm. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, March, April board meeting dates. I sent a message to, Lib, I never got a hold of you. I left you 2 text messages and a voicemail. What's the matter with you? You always call me back. Now I'm talking to Libby. Shalonda has 2 months in a row where her meetings cross one another. And what we'd like to do is move those 2 meetings, same week, same time, but from Tuesday to Wednesday. And there are only 2 in all of this craziness of meetings that everybody has that are causing a problem. So I would like to have a motion, second, discussion and vote on this part. We're talking about moving March and April only from Tuesday, 3rd Tuesday to 3rd Wednesday.
I'll move to move the March 19th Board of Education meeting to the 20th and the meeting on the 16th to the 17th at the same time.
Support.
Discussion?
I have another comment from Keisha. She said that if this change would affect her schedule, and how can we be fair and equitable between 2 people that have opposite schedule problems?
Okay. We've had motion, second, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? It is next month, that's the problem. It starts next month, that's the problem. Just for 2 days. Okay, motion passes with Libby's little hesitance about how we go forward in the future with moving things around.
Libby, did you vote yes?
Oh, I thought you voted yes with reservation. Okay.
So 4-1.
4-1. Okay, motion passed, thank you. Board comments.
I'm excited about the new curriculums that we have on board.
What did we do?
Libby,
We have
We
one
forgot
more action item.
All right, last one.
Yeah, there you go.
So the district's operating millage will expire in December of 2025 and must be reauthorized. All Michigan school districts must levy 18 mills on non-homestead property, which consists of businesses, vacation rental homes. So if you just own your own primary residence, this does not affect you. We currently are authorized to levy a total of 20 mills. However, we only levy the lawful 18. The extra millage is in case of we get what's called a Headley override, where home values will rise faster than the rate of inflation, and then they'll roll back our millage that we're allowed to levy, which would be a hit to the general fund. So a lot of districts will have the voters authorize them to levy more than 18 mills, knowing that we can only levy 18 mills and have that cushion, if you will, so we won't have to go back to voters in any given year to make up the difference. Like I said, currently we're authorized to levy up to 20 mills, even though we're only allowed to levy 18, so we have that cushion built in. As it stands right now, we would like the board to authorize this, so we would be able to run this at the August election at the same time as the rec millage reauthorization as well. It's just a cost-effective way to run both votes.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the resolution as presented. Period.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think this just allows us to continue to communicate about not only the operating millage, but also the recreation millage at the same time, get out there a little bit earlier.
And that's a really good pairing, I think, at the same.
And just for everybody out there, the operating millage does not impact your primary residence. So this is not a tax increase. This is simply to maintain the current 18 mills on businesses, non-homestead properties. So it is important, as Marcus said, because if we don't collect all 18 mills, we don't get the full foundation allowance, which means that our students are receiving less. It's not been an issue in the past, but I want to make certain everybody understands.
Everybody knows it's not a new tax and it's not on residential.
That's correct.
Those are important pieces, I think, to get out to the community if anybody's talking about any of this stuff.
We'll talk about it.
Excellent.
Just for clarification, will this be on, did you say this will be on the ballot? August.
With rec millage.
With the rec millage, okay. I'll abstain from this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Ready? Okay, motion is second. All in favor? All abstaining? One abstention, it passed. Thank you very much. Okay, now board comments. Lib, anything?
I'm real excited about the curriculums that were presented to us this evening. It seems like everybody's excited about them and ready to go, and this will transfer to the students, the excitement, hopefully, and
to the parents, if they include them when
and
they're
to the
talking.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be, a couple great programs for the students and the parents.
Also excited for the curriculum. Thank you to everyone that piloted those opportunities to bring in front of us, and happy to take some swift action to get them deployed and get the educators trained and in front of the students' hands. Thanks to all the teachers and everyone that makes JPS function, and thanks to the tech guy in the back.
Caleb,
solid shout out to Caleb. I haven't met him yet, but underappreciated, but makes all of this flow, and sitting back there, loading all these presentations and stuff. Solid job.
So I also am very impressed with the new curriculum that we're getting. And I just, man, that it can streamline those IEPs and just free up teachers' time. So I'm very excited. I want to wish Shalonda happy birthday. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Shalonda.
I think she celebrates every birthday with us. I do remember this now.
Last year, right
Thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yes. I echo all the comments that everyone has said. The presentations were amazing. The real-time data is so important for us to do our work. And yes, I think we made, as a board, those decisions in this moment will help us move the district's initiatives forward. And thank you to all the teachers. Thank you to the community members that continue to come, share your concerns. Keep coming. Keep coming. We want to hear your voices. It matters. And yes, we want to continue to do the work for all of our students and making sure that they are successful in achieving academic excellence.
Thank you. I've got three things I wanted to address a little bit. The special ed curriculum, I am so excited about that for a reason that most of you wouldn't even have to think about. I have students coming to JC, and I work in the Center for Student Success, and I work with primarily writing. That was my thing, but everything, including note-taking and study skills and just resumes and going to another college, four-year college. And also, one of the things that's handled in the Center for Student Success, it's the IEPs coming from high school into college. Now, there are very different things you can, not a lot, but there are some different things that are allowed in high school that's not allowed in college. What I like so much about this curriculum that we're talking about now is that it is going to mirror the general ed requirements. and make them accessible and understandable to our students who have special needs. I can tell by the time a student's been with me for an hour what high school he or she attended. I mean, this is my 12th year there. I was going to go for about 6 months when I first hired in. 12th year there, and I can tell because some of them think of special ed as like a sideline, or maybe, oh yeah, let's get him an aid in there, or something like that. And some really take it seriously. And for JPS to be doing this to this extent, I am just so proud and so pleased by it. And my other one, I'm going to try one more thing. One more thing is, Chris, I would like you to share the MLive articles on our teachers.
Wasn't sure what she was going to say. I felt like I had to get my math scores up or something. Yeah, so we're really excited about this. We have partnered with MLive, and for a lot of reasons. You know, we get these, sometimes people feel like teachers are leaving the profession in droves, or that we're losing people, and we're really doing very well in a lot of areas. We have some amazing teachers, and so we are featuring with MLive on a series of Meet the Teachers, so you can meet our teachers, hear what they love about teaching, what they love about JPS, and really hear it from their words to our community, and also hoping that in the process that we somehow help our nationwide shortage of teachers by getting people interested in getting into teaching, getting back into teaching, which I think is something that people don't realize how many people have left the profession that might come back, right? So this is super important to us. We also will be featuring our parent liaisons. We are the only school district to have a parent liaison or more than one in each one of our buildings. And the program that we piloted this year with these liaisons has gone amazing. And we are seeing a lot of support in our schools from the parent liaisons to parents developing relationships. So we want to make sure that everybody knows what we're doing and how we're doing it and how great it is to either be a student here, a staff member, a board member, or just being part of our community.
I think that is such a positive. I absolutely love it. I love that we're doing it because teaching, of all the things I've done in my career, teaching is still in my heart. And that's why I'm doing it at college now after everything else. But people need to hear the good stuff. When that light bulb comes on, there's nothing like it for a teacher. And so many things we hear about teaching seems negative, but that's not from the classroom. That's not in the classroom. What's really going on with people. I'm very, very excited to hear about that. I thought of my third thing that I almost forgot to tell you.
I just wanted to make a comment on
go
that. Just that testimonials go longer than a 30-second commercial, right? So we can't do this if you all don't participate with us. So if you see it, share it, share it, share it, share it wherever you can. Go to MLive. If you're not following MLive, follow MLive, and as those articles pop up, or you see them on our pages, or you see them on one of us or your friends' pages, share them often. We can never reach enough people with this information, but that's what social media is about. It's not reading it and liking it. It's reading it, like it, and share it,
And
please.
share it. That's an excellent thing to say. I had a school board president's county breakfast a week ago, and one of the things we talk about are what we're doing different, what we're trying to do in our own districts. And I was so proud to be JPS because the other districts are working on things like maybe getting a health nurse into one of the buildings, or maybe doing a parent, this and that and the other thing. And I thought to myself, we've been doing that for 10 years. I was just really proud. I was very proud of what JPS does and what we offer our kids and our communities. So another thing, just let people know. That's the thing, let people know. Okay, all we have left now is the calendar. We have two things. The ambassador auction is in the JHS Fieldhouse, and it's 5 to 7:30 on March 8th. And I know I touted that last time, but it is an amazing experience, and it's a great fundraiser. In March 20th is our board meeting for March here at 6 o'clock. You might have all noticed we changed our hour to 6 o'clock instead of 5:30 just for, pardon me? I said the 20th, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the 20th.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? Opposed? It passes. Thank you.